The sound of something hitting the marble floor cut through the morning silence of the executive lobby. It was soft, almost insignificant, but the moment the CEO bent down to pick it up, her entire world shifted. Standing frozen a few steps away, she realized that the past she had buried so carefully had just slipped from her hands. Maya Collins had learned how to disappear without actually leaving. At 27, she blended into the background of the towering corporate headquarters, moving between desks with quiet efficiency, her eyes always lowered, her voice steady and professional. No one would guess that she carried more weight in her heart than most people twice her age. She preferred it that way. The less people knew, the safer she felt. That morning, she was late. The bus had broken down, rain had soaked her coat, and her thoughts were tangled in worry. As she hurried through the lobby, fumbling with her bag, she didn't notice the small silver locket slipping from an unzipped pocket. It hit the floor and slid across the marble, coming to rest near a pair of polished black shoes. "Miss, you dropped this." The voice was calm, deep, and unmistakable. Maya looked up slowly, her breath catching. Standing in front of her was Ethan Blackwood, the CEO. The man whose name filled business headlines and boardroom whispers. Tall, composed, with eyes that seemed to notice everything. He held the locket in his hand, studying it with mild curiosity, unaware that he was holding the most painful piece of her life. "Thank you," she said quickly, reaching for it. But he didn't let go right away. The locket had popped open, revealing the tiny photograph inside, a young woman and a little girl, smiling despite the worn edges of the picture. Ethan's gaze softened. "Family?" he asked gently. Maya felt her chest tighten. 1,000 truths rushed to her lips, but fear won. "Just someone I used to know," she replied, forcing a polite smile. Ethan nodded, handing it back. "You should be careful with things that matter," he said, then walked toward the elevators as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But everything had. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Maya sat at her desk, fingers trembling as she typed, the weight of the locket heavy against her chest. That photograph was of her mother and her younger self, taken just weeks before her mother passed away. The locket was the last gift she'd ever received, a reminder of unconditional love in a world that had taught her to survive alone. She hadn't lied to Ethan because she wanted to. She lied because the truth had always cost her too much. Growing up, Maya had learned early that vulnerability invited loss. After her mother's death, she moved between relatives who saw her as a burden, then into foster care. Promises were made and broken. Trust became a luxury she couldn't afford. So when she finally built a life of her own, quiet, stable, predictable, she guarded it fiercely. What she didn't expect was to see Ethan again that evening. She was packing up when his assistant approached her desk. "Mr. Blackwood would like to see you." Her heart pounded as she stepped into his office, a space filled with glass walls and city light. Ethan stood by the window, hands in his pockets. "I hope I'm not overstepping," he said, turning to face her, "but I've seen that locket before." Maya froze. "My mother had one just like it," he continued. "She used to say it reminded her of who she was before the world told her who to be." The room felt suddenly smaller. Maya swallowed. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I shouldn't have said what I did this morning." Ethan studied her, not with judgment, but with understanding. "You don't owe me your story," he said. "But I get the sense you're carrying something heavy." For the first time in years, Maya felt seen, not exposed, but acknowledged. The truth pressed against her chest, desperate to be free. She didn't tell him everything. Not about the foster homes or the nights she cried herself to sleep. But she told him about her mother. About the photograph. About how that small silver locket reminded her that she once belonged somewhere. Ethan listened without interrupting. "Thank you for trusting me," he said when she finished. "You didn't have to." As days passed, something shifted. Ethan began to notice Maya's work, her attention to detail, her quiet leadership, the way others naturally trusted her. He encouraged her, challenged her, and never once treated her like a fragile story. Still, Maya struggled with guilt. She had hidden the truth at first, and old habits whispered that honesty was dangerous. But slowly, she realized something new: some people didn't use your past against you. Some people helped you carry it. Weeks later, during a company event, Maya wore the locket openly. When someone asked about it, she smiled and told the truth without fear. Because she had learned something powerful. Sometimes, we hide the truth not because we are weak, but because we've survived. And sometimes, the smallest moments, a dropped item, a simple question, become the beginning of healing we never thought we deserved. Maya didn't stop protecting her heart. She simply learned that strength doesn't always mean hiding. Sometimes, it means choosing when, and with whom, to be real.